Bonjour and welcome back to another video. So as you have read in the title, this video is going to be a little special. Today we'll be comparing AUT with YBA. Today we are going to find out which one is the best game gameplay-wise. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'll be grading both games in 3 different categories. Those being gameplay, combat, and visuals. Each game will be given a point on whichever category that it's good at, and in the end, the game with the most points will be overall the best. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, let's just be honest here. AUT has like no gameplay at all right now. All you do in AUT right now is either farm U coins for new stands, or farm U shard for skins, or farm hard repetitive bosses for stands. This is the main base grinding that AUT is made up of right now. Sure, there might be stuff like Dragon Balls and Corbs to grind for and all that, but honestly, that's gotten even more repetitive than the bosses and U coins, and I mean everyone has all the Corbs and Dragon Ball stands anyway. One thing I will give to AUT is the idea of making skins obtainable through chests. Even if you get doo-doo skins most of the time, the AUT developers have added a pity system to make sure that anyone can get something rare. That is something I like from AUT that YBA doesn't have. Speaking of YBA, let's go check out its gameplay, shall we? Now, unlike AUT, YBA's gameplay is actually really fun, because YBA has a storyline, and there's levels and prestige in YBA which actually gives a reason to grind storyline. And some parts of the game require you to have 3 prestige and max level, not to mention the bosses who aren't as repetitive as AUT's bosses. The grinding in YBA is about as equally or even more harder than AUT, but in YBA you can actually have fun while grinding, unlike AUT. Not to mention YBA has a lot more fun game modes like SBR, when that only has 1v1s and 2v2s. Getting teamed in SBR only in YBA for real. Very fair. The skin grinding in YBA is mid at best. You need to have a good pity to get it from normal items. Or just use a lucky arrow and see if you get your favorite 2 waifu over heaven skin. But compared to AUT's gameplay, YBA's is just a lot more fun and a lot less repetitive. First point goes to YBA. Let's move on to the combat. So the combat for AUT has changed a lot since the combat rework. The combat for AUT mostly relies on the stun from barrages or other moves that stun in order to combo. M1s are now almost useless in AUT, aside from them being used for extra damage sometimes and to stop barrages. The use of super armor/hyper armor has increased too, as super armor can negate grab moves and hyper armor can negate super armor attacks. Aside from all that, parrying is very useful in AUT, as well as many attacks can be parried in order to get an advantage over the opponent. But that's literally all that I can say about AUT combat. I honestly don't really like it much since it isn't too unique, and the use of M1s in my opinion should be increased. On the other hand though, YBA has a really great unique combat system which I really like. You can pair your stands up with different specs, which allow you to extend your combos as well as deal more damage. You can also create new builds combining different specs and stands and getting the stats you want from them. Similar to AUT, blocking is pretty similar in YBA, but I really like how barrages aren't always true and M1s aren't always true, but they still stun. And honestly, the PvP in YBA is a lot harder than the PvP in AUT. This is my first match, and I'm struggling to get used to using a spec and my stand at the same time to combo LOL. Got his ass now. Bruh. Honestly, this one has to go to YBA, as YBA's combat is just clean and really unique, and I don't think AUT's combat is on that level yet. I love YBA's new visuals ever since the new stands and reworked specs have been dropping. The VFX and animations have been amazing and super clean. I mean, just look at this beatdown. But honestly, let's be real. AUT's new animations and new VFX have been even crazier. They really outdid themselves with the VFX for every reworked new stand spec so far. The beatdowns are really amazing too. Yeah, as much as I like YBA's VFX and animations and visuals, AUT's just one super tiny step ahead of them in this category. AUT might lose in gameplay and combat, but the visuals speak for themselves. This point goes to AUT. So we end the video with YBA winning by one measly point. As much as I like AUT, this is an accurate turnout since YBA is a lot better than AUT right now. Honestly, they should just add SBR to AUT, hee hee.